Hey there, welcome back to the Nourished CEO podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, and today's episode is going to be pretty short because I was debating if I was going to take this week off. And I was like, well, I don't want to fully take it off, but I also feel like there was a lot of stuff that I dropped recently, content wise, especially the Own Your Authority masterclass, which was our last episode. And I know there's a lot of you who have not had a chance to get through of all of that. So I figured instead of just continuing to bombard you with more content, I figured why not just encourage you to listen to that one if you haven't yet. So that is the previous episode on the list here. The link is in the show notes. And I did just want to do a short follow up to that one because, as you may have seen, especially if you did listen to that episode, we just closed the doors on enrollment for a brand new program that I'm running called the Foundry. So our founding cohort just kicked off actually a couple hours ago was when I had the first call. And this is a 10-week decision-making alignment sprint that I'm running with more advanced business owners who have been experiencing the feelings of heaviness and feeling like they're putting a lot of work into their business and not seeing the results that they want. They feel like they have built somebody else's business based on what a coach told them to do or based on what they were seeing colleagues do. And they just feel like everything is just kind of more scattered and challenging than they really want it to be. And so they're going through this 10-week, 5-phase realignment process in order to make sure that their business is fully based on who they are and what they're most skilled at. So that's what we're doing in this cohort. I'm super pumped about it because it is a brand new program based on everything that I've been doing in my own business, as well as working with dozens of health and wellness coaches, practitioners, experts, all sorts of different people, especially in my one-on-one services. So this was really inspired by a lot of my more advanced clients and the kind of work that we do together in order to help their business actually grow with all the work that they're putting in. So I wanted to give you a quick behind the scenes of what I shared with this group for the first week because it was kind of a combination of orientation and preparation for what we're going to do. Given that it's a sprint, like, we're gonna hit the ground running next week, so I wanted to make sure that they were fully prepared for getting the most out of it, and that they were really building something true to them in all the different ways that it mattered. We talked about the different things that they needed to consider when it comes to building a business that aligns with who they are and actually fits into the current season of life that they're in. So this isn't really so much of a tactical conversation, it's more of an energetic emotional conversation, looking at capacity, looking at joy, looking at the experience of running their business. So, asking questions like, what do you actually like about your business? What's draining you? What would you stop doing tomorrow if you could? What do you wish you had more room for? Like, all of those introspective questions that help somebody actually dig deep into what they're doing in their business and is it actually working for them? Unfortunately, a lot of programs skip this altogether and they just go straight into strategy, which, yeah, it's nice to have some strategy to apply. But if you're applying that to a business that is just foundationally a mismatch for you and your personality and your capacity, more strategy is just going to exhaust you even more. So, we're not talking about strategy, we're talking about deep introspection and self assessment because the answers that the clients in the Foundry are going to get from this process are going to shape every future decision in the program. So, this is really a life and capacity audit, and the decisions that they're making have to fit the actual life that they're building now. As someone who has 2 kids under the age of 4, I have really learned that the hard way that just because historically I've had capacity to execute at a certain level does not mean that I do now. And I've really had to make some big decisions around how the business was structured in order to honor the season that I was in. Because honestly, a business that looks great on paper but requires more than the CEO can give is not a long term or even a short term solution to actually having a profitable and enjoyable business to run. So we look at things like family constraints, health considerations, financial runway, team support, any of the hard constraints that affect decision making. All of that matters in the process. And I want my clients in the Foundry to be looking at all of it so that they're not building from their ideal life, that they're actually building from their real life. Now, another fun thing that we're doing, which I'm actually super excited about because I've been doing it a lot in my business and just like really having my mind blown by what I'm learning, is doing a deep dive into personality and self-knowledge data. So personality data can come from a lot of different sources. Of course, there's a variety of tests that can be done to assess your personality, whether that's things like the Strengths Finder or the DISC assessment or the Myers-Briggs or Enneagram. There's so many different quizzes and assessments that can potentially give you some insight into your personality. But then there's also some of the more woo-woo type of ones, which take it or leave it. I am somebody who likes science and woo, so I always like to look into both. And I didn't necessarily pay a lot of attention to the whole birth chart thing for most of my business career, mostly because I just didn't understand it, didn't really know how it'd be useful. And the last few months, I've been really diving into it. And I'm not an expert in this, but even just the little that I've learned has been so helpful. And so being able to take tools that can help us understand ourselves better and understand our strengths, our weaknesses, what growth looks like, all of that is so helpful for then layering into the business decisions to really make sure that the decisions are helping you be more of yourself and not making you be somebody else. So the goal here in this part of the process is to get a complete picture of how the Foundry clients are actually wired. What is their, just general strength set? How do they operate when they're really operating at full capacity, full power, being themselves truly? All of that is stuff that we're taking into account during this process. So the reason I designed this program this way is because I was really getting sick of being in these coaching offers where the whole thing is just like, here's what I did, go do what I'm doing to be successful. And it doesn't take into account your personality, your skills, what you actually want to do. Is this even a good fit for you? And, I had to learn the hard way that there was certain things that I learned to do in my business that were just dramatically opposed to my energy type, my personality, the things that light me up. And having learned the hard way, for better or worse, it's informing how I'm building this program. So I'm really excited because what we're going to do is we're going to take all of that data that they're collecting this week and run it through an AI pattern analysis process to find the threads that connect across all the assessments and to give us a starting point for building their custom business alignment decision documents that are going to look at every part of their business and make sure it's run through the filter of, is your business set up for you and your skills and who you are and where you want to go? So that is what we're doing. And that was really what we covered in the onboarding experience today. I also gave them kind of the rundown of what to expect and how to set goals for the program because I am approaching this in a very different way than your typical business coaching program is designed. And my ultimate goal is that my clients in this founding cohort leave this program feeling so clear about who they are and how their business supports them being more of who they are. And they have the decisions to guide what they're doing moving forward to ensure that the business is fully aligned and fully built on what their natural strengths are and not based on what their coach's strengths are or what their colleagues' strengths are. Because honestly, the amount of effort it takes to run a business that is based on somebody else's personality is, for most people, more than what they're actually capable of continuing to give, especially if your life changes like mine did. You have kids, you develop a, chronic illness, you have parents that need caretaking, like anything can happen that reduces your capacity. And for the people I work with, they all are taking care of another person in some way, shape, or form. So making sure that your business is set up so that it really grows based on your natural strengths. You're not working against your natural personality type, your tendencies, your things that actually make you tick, and making sure that everything is flowing with who you are, not fighting against it. So that is what we did. And I will say Foundry enrollment is closed for this initial cohort. We will hopefully be reopening in the next, I don't know, maybe 3 to 6 months. We'll see when the next one's going to run. But in the meantime, if this is sounding like something you're interested in, or you listen to the masterclass replay and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do, I can still do this work with you fully one-on-one. So I do have private advisory available at this moment. This is generally a good fit for someone who's already at the six-figure level or higher. Not to say that we can't work together if you're at a lower income level, but the level of depth and detail that I go into is really best for somebody who's been in business at least a few years, has a proven offer, is making sales. And that doesn't mean that you love what you're doing. It just means that you're not learning the basics. So I can help you walk through the same process that we're going to do in the Foundry program in a one-on-one container. So we're going to go through personal alignment, offer structure, sales and positioning, messaging, making sure that everything is really a match to you with full attention on your specific situation so that everything is actually a great fit for who you are and where you want to go. And it all grows as an extension of you becoming more of yourself. So if you do want to work with me, I do have one-on-one spots available. The link to apply to work with me is in the show notes. Otherwise, if you want to wait for the next Foundry cohort, again, somewhere in the next 3 to 6 months. So I'll put a link to a wait list in there as well if you want to add your name so you can get information on the next time we're running this program. All right, well, that's it for me today. Like I said, super short. I recommend going back and finishing listening to the masterclass from the Own Your Authority workshop. That is the previous episode. So just hit back on your podcast listener just to make sure that you actually get through that because I got a ton of really awesome feedback on how valuable that content was. And I don't want you to miss it. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do a whole new episode this week because I'd rather you spend that time that you might have listened to today's episode on catching up and finishing the Own Your Authority Masterclass. All right. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you here next week on the Nourished CEO podcast. Bye, everyone.